You're listening to Spaz on Wine Uncorked with host Rhonda Spaziani on greeninkradio.com.
Are you la la listening? Are you la la listening?
Hi, this is Rhonda on Spaz on Wine, and we are at the Rolling Tomato here in Groton, Connecticut. And tonight I'm here with my husband, Gary Schaefer. Say hi, Gary.
Hi.
And our dear friends, Deb and Lou. Say hi.
Hi, how are you tonight?
And I'm going to introduce you to my father, our resident wine expert, educator, and writer. And tonight we're going to be talking about Cabernet Sauvignon. And we have two. We have a Kirkland and a Robert Mondavi. Right now we're on the Kirkland. They're about $14 each. But my father's going to talk not just about these varietals, but the Cabernet in specific. So I'm going to turn this over to him.
Well, tonight we're talking about Cabernet Sauvignon, the wine of king, the king of wines. Traditionally through the years, one of winedom's most popular grape varieties. Over 800,000 acres of Cabernet Sauvignon are grown throughout the world and grown in pretty much every wine-producing country in the world. But one thing that most people don't realize is that Cabernet Sauvignon is a hybrid. Back in the 1700s, in southwestern France, Cabernet Franc and Sauvignon Blanc were grafted together and made a hybrid grape variety, which was Cabernet Sauvignon. So that's where the name came from. The Cabernet Franc was the Cabernet, the Sauvignon Blanc, Cabernet Sauvignon Blanc. So traditionally, most people don't realize it was a hybrid variety, the world's most notable variety, grown in all these different regions. But identifying different flavors in different regions based upon where it's grown, how it's made, what yeasts are used, and what other winemaking strategies. Some people complain about the Cabernet Sauvignons they taste. They have a green pepper or hibiscus flavor. And that goes back to the fact that the grape was grown in a region where the grapes were not mature enough. Cabernet Sauvignon is what they call a late blooming variety, blossoming variety. All grapes blossom in the spring of the year in the Northern Hemisphere. And they go what they call a bud break. Bud break starts around March 1st, March 15th, depending upon the variety. Cabernet Sauvignon is a later variety. Merlot and some of the Cabernet Franc bloom earlier, bud earlier. Cabernet follows them. So Cabernet is a late harvesting variety, which is good because they eliminate a possibility of getting involved in frosts, which hamper some of the other varieties. But in the ingredients, in the skin and pulp of the grape is an item called pyrazine, Pyrazine, which as the grape is maturing on the vine and sugar is increasing, pyrazine is increased. As the fermentation starts, the pyrazine lessens. In other words, as the sugar goes up, pyrazine goes down, the fermentation, pyrazine goes down. In northern climates where the variety is not suited to, the eventual product has a green pepper flavor and a hibiscus flavor because the pyrazine is active. When the pyrazine is completely eliminated in some of the warmer climates and some of the other regions, you don't get this characteristic. The characteristic is more suitable to berry, raspberry, violet type of reaction. Then, of course, if it's aged in wood, you get vanilla characteristics and some wood characteristics, which seem to harmonize the wine. And through the years, other varieties have been grafted from the Cabernet Sauvignon, a bunch of them in Australia, some in New Zealand, some in France, some in Spain, but they have not been significant on the international market. So the variety itself is the dominant grape variety. The hybrid Cabernet Sauvignon is the dominant red variety of the world, the dominant grape variety of the world. It finally gets back to the winemaking strategies and the yeast that are used, the winemaking techniques of the winemaker that'll eventually give you the flavoring taste of Cabernet Sauvignon. Basically, it's a highly acid, highly tannic variety, which normally requires many years of aging to soften it out. But winemakers through the years have added varieties like Merlot and Cabernet Franc to it to help soften the tannins and to make them more drinkable in earlier years. But to get the real characteristic and full complement of Cabernet Sauvignon, it should be made 100% Cabernet Sauvignon and aged for maybe 15 to 20 years would be the maturing point. And the wines are very, very elegant. Very few people do that today in the commercial market because they have to sell the product at a time. That is a bearing on it. But the wine also is very drinkable at an earlier age. It matches up very well with cheeses, pasta dishes, beef dishes, stews, and so forth. And tonight we're going to taste two different varieties. One, a very unique variety, a Robert Mondavi variety from Rutherford, California, and a bourbon aged variety. The wine is almost a half distilled spirit, and it overpowers the flavoring, I think, in most cases. The other variety is a variety from Sonoma County, which is very interesting. It's made by a friend of mine, Allison Crow, who writes for Winemaker Magazine. A very talented young woman who has made all kinds of wonderful wines in California. This being one of them, by chance you're going to taste that. This particular wine was made is bottled by Kirkland, the Costco, from the Sonoma County, Alexander Valley, which is a pretty productive region for Cabernet Sauvignon outside of Napa Valley. We're going to find out tonight how these Cabernet Sauvignons have earned their medal of being the wine of kings and the king of wines. So our friends here are going to be judges of that.
So on the
Bourbon barrel.
the bourbon barrel, and you said this had to be aged around 10 years before.
Bourbon barrel it's a technique they put in. They give the wine a different character, gives the wine a completely different flavor, and I think it has kind of an overpowering flavor. It takes away from some of the flavoring techniques of the grape variety itself, but it's a strategy that some wineries are putting in just to give it a different twist in the marketplace. It should also be aged longer, perhaps not as long as 100% Cabernet, but it's going to improve 10, 12 years, even if it's blended with Merlot or Cabernet Franc or Petit Verdot or any of the other varieties. Yeah.
How does this one get away with short time?
Yeah, that's an 2018 vintage, and I know that she blends her wines. So that wine's been blended to soften out to be drunk earlier. But even at that point, if you sit it down for another 5, 6, 8 years, it would improve even more. And while the wine is sitting here, just sitting here, being aerated, the wine is improving all the time.
Well, thank you, Dad, as usual. And he does this all with no notes, totally off the top of his head. Truly, guys, he just sits here and talks and spews that all out. And let's raise our glass to Gino. We're so lucky to have him with us on our pizza nights and our wine nights. And so, chin chin to you all. And please don't forget to listen to all the other great podcasts on Green Ink Radio. And this podcast, as all others, is sponsored by Green Ink Marketing and Communications. Check them out at greenink.us.com. They bring your stories to life.
Are you la la listening? Are you la la listening? He's repeated. He's repeated. Are you la 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 looking?
Music provided by Immunuri. For more information, check them out at imunuri.com. Thank you for listening to Spaz on Wine Uncorked. Tune into greeninkradio.com to rock your best life.